So, one of the newer techniques that has come up in the last 5 to 10 years for many conditions, like diabetes and for obesity management and weight loss, is this concept of intermittent fasting. Now, there are many subdivisions within intermittent fasting when it comes to whole health. The underlying principle, and I think that is what I'll focus on because the data for clear superiority of intermittent fasting is still not yet there. So we don't have, let's say, high quality evidence, but there is enough good quality evidence to suggest that it should work for a lot of people. There may be a group of people where it's not going to be effective. And I think we as medical doctors and nutritionists and dietitians need to be doing a little bit more in identifying beforehand who are the right kind of people for it. But what is the underlying principle of intermittent fasting, as it were? Now, all of this came from many of the studies, and I think one particular group which was very popular is the Salk Institute in the US, where they were able to look at different facets of what it means, not just at the fasting, but also what kind of foods are being eaten. And very interestingly, what they were able to show is that if you are able to fast, then it may not even matter whether you reduce your junk food or you just eat your normal diet. It doesn't matter. You will be able to give good health and the body will get the time. Ultimately, this is about giving the time for your body to clean up after itself. That's the important part. What we have been doing in this modern generation is because of artificial lighting, because of the night shifts and the way we are working, it is now found that we are almost eating for 16 or 17 hours in a day. We are constantly eating something or the other from morning 6:37, starting with breakfast, to almost night 9:30, 10, 11, before we go to bed watching TV. You eat some more snack food. That is really too much time of eating and not enough time for the gut to clean itself up, do a bit of housekeeping role. So the way I think about and I talk about it is, we are all very familiar with the concept of hotel check-in, check-out time. Every hotel room needs about 2-3 hours time in between that they ask for, where they say they need to clean the room, do the whole cleaning, put everything sheets there, and give something new for a check-in at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, after a check-out at 10 or 11 o'clock. So they have at least 4 to 5 hours. What has now been found is that an optimal point is around 8 hours to 9 hours minimum for the gut to have the time to recover. On an average, that's what is asked for. If you can give 12 hours, it's even better because the gut can then completely clean itself. It can ensure it stays healthy, and it's like optimal maintenance is then average there. Some people have taken it a bit more and said, well, let us go back to how our ancestors used to live. Maybe you can go up to 16 or even 18 hours of giving the gut a total clean time and eating between 6 to 8 hours in that day. And this is what has led to various intermittent fasting regimes there. Ultimately, the realization is that if you can give your gut that time to immune system to clean up after itself, to clear off some of the debris, that is, and give the information from the immune system to the brain that it's all cleaned up there, then that is what intermittent fasting is achieving there. You are clean. Obviously, where the research is showing is that if you are going to be taking up a healthy habit like intermittent fasting, where you're going to fast for 12 to 16 hours every day, then you are also going to be the kind of person who is going to be monitoring what you eat. Because in that 6 to 8 hours, you are not going to simply say, I'm going to have every kind of hamburger or highly processed food. You're also going to be monitoring the kind of food you eat. So it is very likely that someone who is taking up fasting is also going to be eating relatively healthier, unprocessed, whole food, plant-based, probably with meat as required. But again, well-cooked meat, maybe well-grown meat or whatever, and done it. So this is where the research is saying, is intermittent fasting alone doing it, or the fact that a kind of person who takes up intermittent fasting is also changing the food they are eating? And this is where the research by Sachin Panda's group in the Salk Institute is interesting, because they tried to take a group of humans and they said, let's do intermittent fasting, but in that 6 to 8 hours, we'll get you to eat processed food and your normal diet, but just compress it in that 6 to 8 hours. And they were able to show that at that period of time, they lost a little bit of weight, but overall they were healthy enough. So there is this pushback to say that as long as you can fast, it's good enough. You don't need to necessarily change all parts of your diet. Just give the time to your gut to heal itself.
Sure.
And that's where the principle for pain is the same thing. If you are going to eat less processed foods, then it should mean that your immune system is less activated, which will then spill over to the nervous system, because the nervous system will not receive that instruction that there is threat, that there is threat, that there is threat. So the nervous system also will calm down and say, I know it's all right, it's fine, there's not much of threat. And that's how the reduction in pain comes along, because you don't have that provocation of the immune system. That's how intermittent fasting helps in pain management.